All right, here we go. We're about to get started. I'm here with Samantha Boss. Like, how you doing today? I'm so like I'm excited for this episode because I genuinely am a fan of yours. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Like we kind of talked about, I have to learn how to let technology issues go. Like I'm very pleased that my light is on my camera right now and the video is working. It's a 10 out of 10 for this moment right here. The first few hours of the day, we're not so fortunate with technology. But as far as me personally, I was listening to a podcast today and they were like, if you're dealing with this, this, and this, I'm going to tell you, man, I didn't say yes to anything. So like I am blessed right now. My life is good. Everybody is healthy, happy, work is good, household is running well, dog is pooping solid. Like everything is awesome right now. It really is. How have you been? How have you been?
I'm
How are you recovering? Doing good?
I'm doing pretty good. Like, given the circumstances. For those that don't know, I just had knee surgery a week ago. I ruptured my patellar tendon. Playing basketball with my son and his teenage friends, and like it was like I'm about to turn 40 this year. It was like I guess like that was like my sign, like 40 is creeping up on me because I wasn't even doing anything crazy. It was just like I was about to go up, just go up for a layup and bam,
No,
I
that's
just heard something pop.
you have to change. Nobody on that's listening would ever know what the truth is. You could have said my son was going up for a block and I thought I'd put him in his place and I blocked that shit, knocked it to half court, but on my way down, I landed on an ankle. You got to think about a story.
You know what? That's a good idea. I'm about to start like making some shit up. It's gonna be a different story every time.
Did
Like
you did you make the layup?
I didn't even get to. I was about to elevate and it just popped before I even got there. I didn't even get it up. Like it was just like, damn,
He's
it was sad. I felt
yeah.
like somebody. I felt like if you ever seen a movie like Rush Hour where Chris Tucker got kicked in the face and he's like, which one of y'all kicked me? Like I thought somebody kicked me in my leg. I'm like, which? I'm like, did somebody hit me in my leg? And it was like, no, it was just I, my leg is just old. I guess I don't know what it was, but
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that kind of shit happens for sure.
it would be much better if I didn't live in a 3-story townhouse and have to get around on these crutches. But but hey, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for everything. Like I'm the type of person who really
Right,
believes in
right.
gratitude. Like I'm using this as an opportunity. Like right, the universe told me to sit my ass down. Right, you've been procrastinating on some things that you've been wanting to get done. Sit your ass down and get them done.
I know, I know. It is funny how God or whoever you believe really puts you in your place sometimes and reminds you of what you're supposed to be doing, and you're supposed to maybe be connecting right now. You're supposed to be,
Mhm.
at home, getting better. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm grateful, man. My kids are old enough they can do laundry and do the dishes and help me out. So
Cool.
I'm cool with that. So
Fortunate.
so tell the people just a little bit about who you are, what you do, for people that don't know you.
So my name is Samantha. I've been a divorce coach and mediator for, I think we're going on like 8 years now. I kind of
Mm,
started my journey 12 years ago. I went through a really shitty, nasty divorce that started in 2008 and really didn't wrap up until about 2016. And yeah, that's 8 years.
mm,
And I was a school teacher back then. And when I was going through it, I was helping people because I'd been in the system for so long, the family court system, that I started helping my friends, helping coworkers that were going through a divorce. And my kids were in therapy. I was in therapy. We had all kinds of things wrap up into our case, GALs, court evaluators, psych evals, like you name it, we went through it. And so I had a lot of experience. So I was helping people. And the whole time I was teaching, I started to not be in love with teaching anymore. And I met a unicorn. And what I call a unicorn is I met a man who
mm.
had no ex-wives, no children, and no debt.
Okay.
He's a walking
Oh, that's a
fucking
unicorn for
yeah. Oh,
sure.
he's a blessed unicorn. And he was just waiting to find me, apparently. And
Hmm.
so when I met him, he was like, why do you go teach every day if you hate it? But you're helping on, like, go make this a business. And I'm like, you're crazy. Fast forward, made it a business. Absolutely love that decision. Had two more kids out of wedlock with him. So we're not married yet, but we have two awesome children. So I have two older children, 18 and 16 from my divorce, which happened
Hmm.
when they were 1 and 3.
Yeah.
And I have my two new babies that are 4 and 3 with their dad, who I live with and share a life with. And he allows me to do this every day. So I'm a divorce coach by heart. I got mediator certified as well. So I mediated couples a lot through COVID. When COVID was happening, the divorce rate, I think, just went, people reaching out like, we're home with this person. I don't want to be married anymore. Let's get divorced. So I did a lot of mediation, but as of like the last year, I would say my divorce coaching has really taken off. So I build parenting plans for high conflict divorces, or just
Okay.
people that are really OCD that want a lot of detail in their parenting plan. So I build parenting plans from wherever you're at to getting your kid out the door at 18. I make sure all those little details and those big events in their life are going to be wrote about, so that you and your co-parent can just focus on co-parenting and not the big decision making that needs to be happening. So I try to
Love that.
take a little bit and sprinkle all the details in, so to prevent future litigation. So
Yeah.
I relate to people from my own journey, my training, and my past clients' experiences, and just help them with their parenting plans.
That's awesome, man. I love what you do, and because there's not enough people out there doing it. And I don't think we talked about this before we went live, that it's not something that normally people may think they need help with a lot of times, and so it's like a very specific niche for
Yeah.
people that really need help, and you're doing an awesome job. And one of the reasons why I wanted to connect with you was because I've watched your videos, I've watched you on live, and I love your authenticity. You don't give a shit about like how you say it, like how it comes out. Like, you're gonna be you. You're gonna deliver a message to however you need to deliver it, right?
Yeah.
In a way that's really authentic to who you are.
Right.
And so I think when people are going through divorce or separation, they can almost lose themselves, like when they're going through this process. So like tell me about authenticity and what it means to you, and how important it is, or where it plays in when you're going through situations like this.
Yeah, I think I've always been this way since I was born. And it's funny, when you're a young kid and you have this much, what people call cockiness, I call confidence,
Right.
and just speaking your truth 24/7 and being unapologetically yourself. It didn't service me well in high school. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. I had only guy friends. I was an athlete, so I was labeled as, the bully, jockey, bitchy girl.
Mm,
But as I got married, I lost that part of myself. I
mm,
married a man that was high conflict, that controlled me down to my underwear, to how I could cut my hair, to perfume or no perfume, how many miles.
wow.
And I became somebody else, unrecognizable to myself and my family and my community. And then when I separated, I still lost it. I thought this divorce, I'd get it back instantly. And slowly but surely, with great therapy, great friends, great people, I got it back. And I just vowed to myself that I'll never not be something else. This is who
Yeah.
I am. I will always hold true to that. So I think what happens to a lot of people in divorce is we get consumed by the divorce. We get consumed by the
Yeah.
race, the competition. I kind of call it a tornado coming through town. We just kind of lose ourselves in the tornado, and we play into it, and we forget that who we are being and who we are is all we got.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you buy, what you have, what you give it's who you are is what you're always going to connect with your community and your family and your children with, and your co-parent. You got to be your authentic self and who you truly are, and let it be spoken. I think so many times people don't give, and especially in co-parenting, they don't give their expectations out loud. It's running rampant up here. He
Hmm.
should be doing this, he should be doing this, and when he doesn't, it's like, told you. He's not, he didn't do, but did you say it?
Yeah.
Did you get the words out? And like, so me, I've always just spoke my truth. For about the last 8 years, the first 8 years of my divorce, I did not. And I was always living in fear. I was living and getting in trouble. I was living in this, he's going to take this to the court. He's going to do this. And I just snapped one day, and I
Yeah.
got a lot of help. And I just thought, this is who I am. And I don't want to ever look back and regret that. And so I speak a lot of ugly truths. That's why my tag is the ugly truth of divorce. I'm going to say the things that a lot of people won't tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to share the things about myself and my own journey that I'm not proud of, the things I did wrong. Because I think if more people just owned up to their shit, we
Yeah.
wouldn't have all of these problems, especially in co-parenting. If I failed to give the medicine at 9 o'clock before bed, just fucking own it. I
Yeah.
forgot. I put him to bed and I forgot. Instead of
Yeah.
this, you didn't tell me, and you didn't leave them, you didn't remind, like, just
Yeah.
say, stop,
Right.
like, own your shit and just move the fuck on, and stop trying to label or point fingers. And so I think that's why my audience loves me, is
Yeah.
that I'm quick to show judgment on myself, and I'm always trying to figure out a different way to let my side be seen, but I want to hear your side too. And
Yeah.
let's kind of pick a third part,
It's, it's like
um
it could all be so simple. I like just like
see.
own your shit, right? And like I think when you cling on to authenticity, it's like it avoids so much resentment the potential for so much resentment in your life when you're being
I'm
authentic.
so transparent that people, it's scary to some people because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people aren't. So many people are not willing to say, yeah, my childhood was fucked up and I went and got therapy and made it better so I don't have generational trauma that I'm passing down. I think a lot of us need to take a look at the tools we were given as children. I call it toolbox. As an adult, I'm 45 years old. What tools do I have? I came
Yeah.
from parents that got pregnant as teenagers. Ironically, crazy enough, they're still married, but it doesn't mean it was pretty. It wasn't pretty for me growing up, but they learned and I learned along the way. But when you are trying to co-parent, look at the tools you have and look at the tools your partner has. What were they given as a child? Because that's going to explain a lot. If only people took a little bit deeper dive into that shit before they, had children with people, it would save a lot of work. But I have to own that, things like I was critiqued a lot by my dad. And so when my ex-husband would critique me, my daddy issues came out and then I lashed out. Once I figured that out in therapy, it was like, oh shit, my dad loves me. He was just hard on me, because that was the tools he was given. And so I think when we can recognize our tools that we were given and either add more to them or throw the shitty ones out and get new ones, I think it's beneficial for our children because that's what we're all here for. You put your podcast, your business together for children. I'm here to better children's lives. Like when I mediate people, I just say this, I'm going to listen to both of you and your suggestions, but ultimately I'm sitting here listening for what's best for the child. And I'm going to tell you when I think you're wrong.
Right. Absolutely. People need that.
You can take it or you can go pick wrong and then come back to me in a few years when you realized I was right.
Right. Right. So when you it sounds like, one of the things you're saying is like people, they can't, a lot of times people can't figure out how to get out of their own way. Right.
Yep.
Is that something that you're helping people do and discover like what's in their toolkit when you're coming up with these plans, or are you sticking to the plan?
No, we customize everybody's plan. And right before our podcast here, I was doing a coaching call with two women that, just needed some tools. They're realizing the tools they have in their toolbox suck. And they're like, okay, I'm a reactionary. I lash out. I overreact, so I'm going to give them tools to say, okay, next time you get bad news, next time you get confronted, here's what we're going to do instead, so giving people those customized tools to, hey, recognize that you are not good at this, but I can get you better at it. I might not be able to make you great, but I can get you better at it because those are the tools you're going to be passing down to your children. Absolutely. If you don't get better ones, and so if you see a quality that you don't like about your ex, you can choose to either keep pointing that out and being petty as fuck, or you can give your kid the tool to put in their toolbox because the other side can't because they can't see past themselves.
Yeah. Give me like a tool or two that you might recommend to somebody who has a problem reacting and and can't and can't respond appropriately. Like they're so reactionary. Give us like a tool or something that you might give.
Okay, so number one, this is like 12 years of therapy. This is 12 years of podcasting, of me listening. This is 12 years of books. I'm a personal development junkie. So this is like just my best ones. The first and easiest one is fucking take a pause. Take a pause and run through some questions to yourself. Do I need to react to this right now? Am I in a good place to react to this? Or am I pissed off about work, or the kids just are being screaming loud and I'm sensory overload? Like really take a pause and ask yourself, why am I reacting? Am I really reacting because of what that person said to me? Or am I already pissed off and triggered? Am I hormonal? Is the full moon out and I'm already going crazy? Like really, again, going back to that authentic self, realize what you're really feeling. Where is it coming from? So pause is number one. Number two, you have to have a support system in this process. I can't lash out at my ex-husband. I have to lash out at my girlfriend and be like, do you see what this petty motherfucker just said to me? Do you see what he wrote to me? Did the audacity of this motherfucker? I'm going to dump the emotions to where I can come back to him and be logical, rational, and businesslike. So pausing and dumping to someone else, a support team. The other one, if you don't have a support team, is write it out and look in a mirror and read it out loud. Like read your response out loud to yourself and ask yourself, would I want to be talked to that way? Would I want to be engaging that way? But I think the biggest one is the pause. Because for me, I was a ordinary person, but when I would wake up the next day, I would be like, whoa, bitch, you flipped the fuck out. And today, guess what? It doesn't seem like that big a deal. And now you just caused a fucking scene. Like you have to give stuff time to process. You have to let your body feel how it's going to feel, and then pick up the pieces and then figure out, okay, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
I'd say the last thing is that I think is super helpful is role reverse it. Every situation you're really pissed off, if this was back on you or flipped around, how would you want somebody to react?
Yeah.
Do you want to be reached out? People misinterpret so much shit. I think technology has completely fucked up families, but that's a whole different podcast.
Oh, for sure.
But this reading text messages bullshit, like I can read something and you could read something. We have two different reactions. So role reversing, like, is this what this person meant to say to me? Is this, but that pause, the discipline to not send immediate responses, I think would save more families in their co-parenting journey. Not just save their marriage, but I mean, save their co-parenting journey. If they would just
pause, just wait a minute, give yourself some time, like, and let the give yourself time to switch from the emotional state to a more rational state. And that's the one good thing about technology. A lot of people are communicating through text or email or whatever, and you can read a text and you don't have to respond right away, right? You have the option to take some time. It's a little bit harder to do if you're in person or face to face, right? But if you're getting a text message, and use time to your advantage.
Even face to face. So let's say we're doing an exchange at the Walmart parking lot, and my ex comes up to me saying, I can't believe you sent me that message about owing you money, or hey, I want to switch visitation on Sunday to Saturday. I can simply say, my hand up, because my hand up in public shows people around me. 2023, there's a fucking camera everywhere on you. The hand up is going to show from a long distance that I don't want to engage with you. And in my own space, I'm not doing this, but I'm doing hand close and saying, this is not the time or place. Please put it in our parenting app. Please put it in an email. I'd be happy to discuss.
Yeah.
That gives me time to process what you're saying. Like, kids are present. I ain't doing this shit right now. That's what you want to say. Like, shut your mouth. Kids are fucking right here. We ain't talking about this shit. But hand up to say, hey, great question. Put that in OFW. Put that in an email. Put that in text message, and I'll get back to you when I can.
Yeah.
That's it. So that's what you would do. Again, you're giving yourself that pause to react. Because I don't know how many times in my 16 years of co-parenting that I read something fast and responded right away. And I, a bit dyslexic, would skip words and realize, that's not even what he asked me. Or, I misread that. And he was saying he didn't when I read he did. And then I look like the monkey's ass, that pause can save you grace too, of making you look like an ass.
Yeah. And for those listening who aren't sure, like, it's a common term in our space, right? OFW, but that's like our family widget, right? It's like a co-parenting app, like, that you use to communicate for those of you who may not know what that is. So what's one of the biggest lessons that you learned, like when you were going through like that, through your situation that you learned? What's something that you learned about yourself that you're like, because one of the questions that I ask people is, okay, whenever somebody comes to me, they start telling me about the other person, right? And what makes it difficult to co-parent with this person. And so I asked them, like, okay, tell me if you were looking from the outside in, what can make it difficult to co-parent with you? And what would your answer be to that question? What was one of the things that made it difficult to co-parent with you?
That I had to be in control because I was when they were little. I thought because I was the day-to-day person when they were going up to again, short-lived 4-year marriage, right? Age 1 and 3 getting divorced. I thought because I was their day-to-day contact that it had to stay that way. So whenever he came for me for sole custody, I got deeply offended and attacked back for sole custody. And it just went out of control. So to try to work with me, it would have been me not understanding that our job descriptions had the ability to change. When we were married, he did the yard, he did the cars, he did the gutters, he did all the outside stuff and financially made more than me. I had a job as well, but I did the day-to-day stuff, the cooking, the cleaning, the kids, the inside stuff. But as a judge once told many cases that I've been under, is when you separate, your job descriptions can change. He can now change a diaper. You can now mow a fucking yard.
Yeah.
You know, everybody gets this new opportunity. And I didn't understand that. I mean, again, I was 27 years old going through a divorce. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't understand that I had to give up some control of not being the everyday only resource for my kids. Like, I got offended. How dare you come try to take this job from me? And I didn't realize they needed their dad too. And I was all for it. At the beginning, I said 50-50, but then that was within weeks. He was like sole custody. And then my heart was ripped out. So what did I do when my heart was out? I came with the dagger of like, I'm going to get you back kind of thing. And then just spiraled out of control really fast.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's some good self-awareness right there. Like it didn't take you long to get
well, it wasn't until I started therapy that I realized I had control issues of like, I feared him doing it wrong. I feared my kids not having their hair brushed right, or being in a funky outfit, or him forgetting something. Like, I had to realize it's okay. Those are plastic balls. They can drop. It's fine. Those aren't the glass ones. And a lot of other bigger issues came into our case, and I had to give up that control, because the only thing that matters, something you just asked a while ago, the only thing that matters in anything that you're ever doing in your co-parenting journey, the only thing, and I can say this after 12 years of helping people, the only thing that matters is your relationship with your children. My relationship with my ex doesn't matter. My relationship with my community doesn't matter. What people say about me around, none of that fucking matters. The only thing that matters is my individual relationship with my two children. It has to be unbreakable. And I should have focused all of my attention there from day one, and not worried about the battle, and not worried about him liking me, or attorneys liking me, or even the fucking judge liking me, because the only thing that matters is me and my kids. That's it. That's all that matters to us.
I love that. Like, so you've helped quite a few people, right? And so when you're seeing people going through these divorces or nasty breakups, or getting to they're about to go on their journey to co-parenting, what's something common that you see that people should be thinking about, but that they're not thinking about when they're about to go into a co-parenting situation, when they're about to get divorced? What's something that people aren't thinking about that's very common and that they should?
Very common is they don't think and realize that the other parent has different expectations about certain things than what they do. And I'll give you some examples. Just because you think a kid needs a bath every night might not be what your co-parent thinks. Just because you think the kid needs to read 2 books before bed, that might not be what the parent that only sees them once a week wants to do. Just because you think you need to be on time 10 minutes early to everything, just because they show up a few minutes late, the expectations, now that you're not under the same household, will be different, and they will be looked at different, and your children will feel that there is a difference. And guess what? Kids can be, they're okay. They're okay. You know, a lot of, I think, primary dominant parents that are around their kids the most will be like, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, I can't believe they did that. Kids are fine. The only reason they notice a difference mostly is because you're pointing it out. You know, so I think, number one, understanding that through this whole process, you are going to have an expectation difference on everything, where money is spent, what your kids look like, what classes they attend, what sports they play, vaccinations or not. Everything about your children may be different. So the expectations may be different is what I preach all the time. Like, that's what you want. That might not be what he wants to do, you know, and it's his parenting time. He gets to do that. And you can't stop him. That's his time with those kids to fuck around and find out. Let him find out. That's a lot of things. It's like, well, the kids won't like that. Then let him figure that out. You know, he doesn't know what to feed them. Then let him figure it out. You know, like, you don't get to control or spoon feed him information anymore.
You know? Like, it's so important. Like, I love that. That's a good one. Like, I think a lot of people need to hear that. And it's so important to figure out what hills you're willing to die on.
I say it a lot. Don't be dying on the cross for that one. That ain't important. Here's the one you should be dying on, though. You know, like, I think when people go into the custody battle at the beginning and trying to figure out co-parenting, is that parent wants to stay in control. Well, I've always done it. I've always done doctor's appointments. Well, now he's a single dad. Maybe he wants to take him to the dentist. Maybe he wants to go to the pediatrician appointments, like just because he hasn't, that was the job descriptions you had when you were together. You're not together anymore, like that expectation that, well, he wasn't doing it before. Well, the expectation is now he's going to. That's his expectation, that now he wants to come, and you don't have a legal right to say he can't. The expectation is huge. So many people get on these consults with me and they're bitching and moaning about the other side. I'm like, your expectations are too high. Like Easter was a big one, so when you're listening to this, this is around Easter time. And I have all these people telling me, well, he didn't do an Easter basket and he didn't do this for Easter. And it's like, your expectation was that he was still going to dye eggs, get a basket, do the ribbon, do the hiding of the eggs, get the candy, that was what you do. He has the expectation he's going to his mom's and mom's going to have an Easter egg basket for him there. And guess what? The kids are fine with that, like that different expectation around big events or small events in your children's lives will be different. And your kids will notice if you point it out.
That's key. That's so big. Like I really want people to absorb that, because I understand what that's like. And sometimes we still go through that. Me and my kids, we co-parent really well. Like we do. There's a lot of things that we do differently. Yeah. And like I said, we have our opinions on how much it impacts the kids and how much it doesn't. Like we're always different. Is there an issue that you come across that you're like, oh man, like when you see a client and they have this like specific issue, you're like, man, this is a tough one. Like, what are those tough like areas to compromise with? What are some of those?
A tough one for me is, I'll list two that are really big. Lack of detail in people's parenting plans that leave it up to them to figure it out after the dust is settled, after the stamp on the judge, hey, we're doing this kind of custody. And they have a shitty parenting plan that says parties will decide how many hours for Easter. Okay, well, now you have two people that maybe are not in a good season with each other, and they're in the fuck you season with each other, whether one party or both. And now we can't compromise on what 4 hours. Is it the first 4 hours? Is it the last 4 hours? Is it lunchtime? And now we're fighting. So I think that's a big one that it hurts my heart that people get these shitty parenting plans that assume that people are going to get along in this trendy co-parenting lifestyle that so many people think that they want to have. And maybe one party does want that, but that takes two grown, decent people to participate in, to have that good, great co-parenting situation. If you got one shit bag, you got a shitty situation. I can't make my co-parent like me. Like in my own personal situation, he's high conflict. If I say water, he says oil. Like it's just, he's never going to agree with me. So I want the trendy co-parenting, but he's just not going to. So that shitty parenting plan is number one, that creates so much future problems that could have been resolved from the start. So that's one. The second problem I get a lot that makes my skin crawl is when parents say, but my child doesn't want to go stay there. I'm like, how old's your child? And they're like 7. And I'm like, okay, my 7-year-old doesn't want to take a bath, but I still make his ass take a bath. Like just because a kid doesn't want to do something, so that one's a hard subject to tackle. And I don't know the story 100%. I know you maybe from a live or from a consult. Like we've only talked for 30 minutes at most. And you're asking me for like huge life event advice. Get your kid in therapy is always number one, I always say. But number two, for me personally, in my experience of all these years, when a kid hits frontal cortex puberty age, they do start to have their own opinions about, Dad, I like that shirt. I don't like that hat. I like the music you listen to, but I don't like your cooking. Like they start to form their own opinions about each parent. When those single digit A's, I'm sorry, they're manipulative. They're going to do where it's easy. They're going to go where they're comfortable. They're going to go where their toilet crap. They're going to go where their bedroom light is stayed on. They're going to pick the easy route of like, but it's easier at this house. I don't want that house. And then you have this parent who's like, oh, well, Johnny said at 7, he doesn't want to go. And now she's keeping Johnny from seeing Dad. And I'm just like, put his ass over there. Unless you think that Dad is a hostile, violent, abusive asshole, and you have proof of said assholeness, you have no grounds to keep your kid. But so ask yourself, what are you promoting in front of your 7-year-old with your own dialogue and rhetoric to your mom, to your sister, to your neighbor, to the babysitter, that little Johnny at 7 is listening to and going, oh, well, mom doesn't like dad, so I don't want to go to dad's house because mom will get mad if I go because she hates it when I leave. She gets sad. And so I think it kills me that there's parents out there that are saying too much in front of their children, and it's
Yep.
impacting their children's thoughts.
Yeah.
And then it hurts that other parent, and that other parent's relationship gets ruined because somebody has control.
Yeah.
That's the one that gets me every time of like, and parents always say, I'm not saying anything in front of my kid. I think your Alexa would probably say something else.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I'm like, own your shit, bitch. You probably said stuff in the car on the phone, thinking he was listening to his iPad, and he heard every fucking word you said.
Yeah. Or you're making subtle, or it's real subtle.
The expectation, yeah. Or it's something like, oh, well, can't believe you're going to your dad. One that gets me, and my ex-husband did this to me a lot. He would be like, oh, kids, oh, I wish you could come over here more, but your mom won't let you.
Yeah.
They're already doing 50-50. What are you talking about? Like, they can't be with you any more than they are.
Yeah.
He would be like, I really miss you, and I just don't do anything while you're not here. He's not saying don't go to your mom's, but he's saying it's miserable without you, and you should feel sorry for me and want to come see me. And it's like, don't fuck with your kids' heads. Let them just be fucking kids.
Right.
Let them keep your adult shit to yourselves.
Right.
Like, go find a fucking friend or pay someone to listen to you, but it's not your fucking child's job to fill your bucket every day. It's not.
Like
that one triggers me because it's just making adults too fast pisses me off.
Yeah, I hate that. Like, especially like, because some people are very overt with it, like I said, and then there's some people who are just, a lot of people that's with the subtleties. Like, oh, well, you know how your dad is, you know how your mom is, or like just little shit to make the kids like,
they don't want to own the shit.
Yeah.
They don't want to own it. They don't want to be like the famous one was, oh, I can't say yes to that. Your mom will get mad.
Oh yeah.
You be the dick and tell them no. Don't pawn it off with me. I'm 2 miles away in a different house. Why am I saying no at your house?
Yeah.
You just say no, and maybe they'll be disappointed in you for a few fucking minutes. It's okay, like, oh, it's so frustrating sometimes. But again, I think that's what people need to realize. When you pick divorce, there is 1,001 ways in which it sucks. And that's one of them.
Yeah.
Someone's going to throw you under that bus going by every time.
Yeah.
And there ain't much you can do about it, because you can't control the other house.
I mean, I had a similar situation recently where my son was like, he didn't want to come over here. Like, he just wanted to stay at his mom's house because I treat my daughter better than I treat him. Right. Like, and he was grounded for no reason, which, like, he wasn't even really grounded. Right. I took away his phone. He doesn't have like a phone service plan, but he has like one of his mom's old phones where he can connect to Wi-Fi and do shit on it. So he downloaded TikTok, and it just his mom, when he's at his mom's house, and she told him to delete it. When he came here, he re-downloaded it. And so I took his phone. I'm like, I saw a notification come through from TikTok. I'm like, are you supposed to have TikTok on this phone? And he's like, oh, it popped up on its own. Like, I deleted it and then it came back on its own. Motherfucker's lying his ass off. And I'm like, well, I'm taking this phone right now. Like, but he not only did he download it, he was posting. Right. So even if it popped back on his phone on its own, even if that was true.
They were in my drafts. They just popped up. TikTok pulled up my drafts.
He's like, I got witnesses too. Like, I got, my friend saw me delete it. Well, okay. And so he didn't want to come back here. Like, cause I treat him bad. He was grounded for no reason. But I still let him go play outside. I just took his phone. So he wasn't really grounded anyway. But like, I'm like, nah, man, you don't get this out. I'm a good dad. Like, I know I'm a good dad. Right. Like, so.
Hey, what you just said, that's what people don't have. They're so worried about what the other side has said that they don't realize, I don't care what I'm a good dad. I don't care what your mom says. I don't care what the court, I'm a good dad. Like, I know these rules are going to service you better in life. I know this structure. I know this discipline. I know doing a couple chores a day ain't going to break your fucking back. You can do it, and it's going to make you a better man. Like, you just have to be strong with that. But the hard part is you have to have a co-parent that agrees with you and says, go to your dad's house. I don't care if you got a phone or not. You're going to your dad's house. Like, but in my people that come to me are just like, well, they don't want to go. I'm like, yeah, because there's structures, rules, discipline, chores, or the opposite. Maybe there's not enough food there. Maybe there isn't electricity. maybe there's bugs everywhere, maybe there's no kids to play with. There's both sides of it. So to
Yeah,
sit
for
here
sure.
and say, you have to force your kids to go into every situation, that's not fair to say either. You have to look at each situation,
Yeah.
but
So
for the most
nuanced.
part, you guys, you're falling for manipulation by your child saying, I don't want to go. And it's
Yeah.
because structures, rules, discipline, and I'm saying that having a child, my son left going to his dad's when he was 12, and my daughter left just recently back in October at the age of 16. My son left for abusive reasons and nothing was done. My ex-husband didn't give a shit. And so my daughter still went, and my daughter just left in October because she tried to go to him and say, look, man, like, you want me just to come here and sit on my ass in the couch and we don't do anything. We don't really talk. We don't engage, and she's big into sports and she's like, I've only got this one night and it's here sitting. Like, can I go to my friend's house? Can I? Nope, nope, nope. This is my time. It's the only time I get to see you. And she's like, bullshit. You see me on Tuesdays at sports. You see me on Thursdays. You see me just as much as mom does. Like, and it got ugly. And she's just like, and she hasn't been back because it was all a game for him of like, you have to sit here and do your time, like prison time. And so again, he wasn't doing what I said. You got to have a strong relationship with your kid.
Yeah.
Know your kids. You gotta go play basketball with them because that's what he loves to do. You got to listen to the music they want to listen to and relate to them. You got to be in with what's going on in their lives to be relevant to them. Otherwise, you are just an authoritative figure that as soon as I do my time with you, I'm done with you.
Yes, I'm gonna write that down. You said people are in the fuck you season. I'm gonna write that down. Never heard that one before.
Oh yeah, and that's what I tell people. You got to build a parenting for the fuck you season because the first fuck you season you're going to be in is the first time somebody starts fucking somebody else. You get divorced, you're like, let's do Sunday brunch together still. And you're like, this is a great fucking idea. And then 4 Sundays in, he's like, can I bring my new girlfriend? You're like, fuck you. And it all blows up because now you're bringing somebody else in. And I'm telling you, there's not many unicorns out there, right? So the likelihood you're going to get middle-aged divorced with children and find a unicorn slim to none. So you're going to end up finding probably somebody that has their own divorce story coming into your divorce story. And the likelihood everybody's on the same page and has the same parenting plan and the same concepts and ideas, slim to fucking none. So now you've got this new girlfriend who she's been divorced for 4 years. She has a better parenting plan than what he has. So now she's trying to tell him to tell you what to do with your parenting plan. And now you have 3 brains going into co-parenting, and one of them is from the alternate universe. And it is just, it fucks everything up. So you got to prepare for that fuck you season. But register yourself too and figure out why the fuck you so triggered by somebody new walking in. That's on you.
Yeah, hell yeah. I feel like that's one of the hardest things about what we do is like people, being like quote unquote influencer, right? Having social media presence and like, with your business. And people ask a lot of questions and they ask a lot of very generic questions and they ask questions that are very nuanced, like, in particular to their situation. There's no blanket answer for a lot of questions. Like, I need to know more about your situation and before I can answer that question effectively.
And I might be able, it's going to be this thick, but fill it out and I might be able to answer it. But yeah, it's got to be customized.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that people need to know. Like, if you're interested in coaching or something like that, or what I do or Samantha does, you have to understand, like, when you're asking questions, we need to know more about your situation. That's why we do what we do, because every situation is different and every plan is going to be different. It's going to be tailored to you specifically and what your life and your situation is like. And you did recommend something. You did recommend something earlier that you said, like, you recommend that put your kids in counseling, right? And do you have we just talked about how certain things are nuanced and everything is really nuanced, but like, is there certain things that you recommend to most of your clients? What are some of those things that you recommend to most of the people that you're dealing with? Like,
okay, perfect. So like for parents, I always recommend that they're in some type of support group because it does a couple things. Number one, it's a free service for most. I mean, my support group's free, yours are for free, inside our Facebook group. So being around people that are going through the same struggles can do one of 2 things. Number one, give you validation that, man, okay, there's a lot of people having it rough. Or number 2, holy shit, I need to wise up because mine ain't near as bad as the story I just read. Like, it gives you a perspective of count your blessings because your life is pretty fucking good and you're being petty. So being in a support group, I would say taking care of your health. And I know it sounds cliche as fuck, but if you're not
It's
taking care
real.
of your health and stopping the excessive drinking, stopping the drugs and the smoking, stopping the random sex, stopping the just stupid shopping and overeating, like really taking care of your health, because again, you are mirroring behaviors to your children who are observing you in a really fragile state of mind. You're going through this divorce, you're already fragile, and then you're not taking care of yourself. What kind of long-term damage are you giving your kids that when they go through something fragile in adulthood, what are they going to go to? Booze, drugs, random dick, over shopping, pizza at 11 o'clock at night. Like, you're showing your kids coping skills early on. So get your health and your well-being in check. And I think any type of coaching that you can get into, I'm all for therapy. I think therapy it should be like a gynecological appointment. It should just be something you do. It's just a part of your daily or weekly regimen or monthly. But I also think the one thing that, like, I get on podcasts and I get on all these lives and everything, people sit and listen. They'll listen to this podcast and like, God, that was fucking great shit. Yeah. That was amazing. But what they don't do is take the next step, which is hire someone to get them through the storm. Because are you going to get out of the storm? Absolutely. That storm won't sit there forever. Sunshine's going to come out. But if I can get to sunshine faster with a coach and get to the light at the end of the tunnel faster with a coach, why would I not go spend a little money to make myself better quicker for my children? Because you only get so much exposure to your kids. And I wasted, and I'm not going to cry even though I want to, I wasted 8 fucking years, 8 years being too petty, too stubborn, too, like, here I was sitting with 2 master's degree, bitch. Why do you need to go hire someone to coach you on this? You're the one of the most educated people around, and I'm not spending that kind of money. And the second I did, my whole fucking life changed.
Yeah.
It's like, I spent a little bit of money to have someone coach me on how to get over myself and to focus on myself and to better myself. And my whole life changed. And my divorce, I'm like, ex-husband, who fucking cares? Like, he became gone out of my life because I chose to make action. It took 8 years to get there.
Yeah. It's great.
8 years
like, and when you're going to people who are intentional and they're educated, like you said, we're not. We talked about being cocky and being confident, right? I'm very confident that I'm good at what I do, right? I know you're good at what you do, right? So it's like, if you can, if you're intentional, you might get to a really good place in a year. But if you hire a coach, you might get there in 3 months. Are you like fucking just, and like, think about the stuff that you spend your money on, and your car, your clothes, or whatever. Like, where do you value your relationship with your children? And your co-parenting relationship and your peace of mind, like, where does that fall on your list of values? Like, invest in those things.
I got one better. You're investing. Most of you listening to this are probably investing your time and money into an attorney that's not married, doesn't have children, or a judge who is married, probably, because most of them are, who has children but has never raised said children because they're in the judge's chambers, and so their wife stays at home, or their husband. So, like, you're already spending 4 digits with a comma to an attorney monthly, bi-monthly. Why not go spend a couple $100 from somebody that's been in the fucking trenches, who has lived your life and has, like, I'm not going to go to a dentist that's never had a cavity. Because I want him to know what that fucking shot feels like, to where he jiggles my cheek to where it doesn't hurt. I'm not going to go to a male gynecologist because I want the female to know what I'm going through when my legs are out.
That's like, fair. Yeah.
It's fair, right? Like, and I didn't learn this till later in life, though. I'm only going to put people in my life and learn from who have been that person. I'm not going to go listen to, somebody that's been rich their whole life, teach me how to make money. No, I'm going to go learn from somebody that's been dirt fucking poor and has made millions stepping themselves up. So, like, that's where I am in my life now, is like, I want to learn from the people that fucked up to find out.
Yeah.
And I fucked up big, and I found out what works and what doesn't work. And I was in my own way most of the time, and I think it's hard to tell people when you're having a consultation with them. It's like, hey, by the way, good 80% of this is probably your fault. Like, there's time and place on when they're ready to hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta be careful. You gotta get people to that spot where they're ready to hear it. But it's a lot of people just don't take action to make their lives better. They'd rather just sit and complain.
Yeah. And I don't even think a lot of people know what it can do for them, because a lot of my clients I have come, one of my longest clients that I have, like she came to me and it was all about her kid's father, her ex, right? All her issues were all about her ex. And like after like a month, we weren't even talking about him anymore. And it was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I know how he is. I know how he operates. I know how to deal with him. And we're helping her like work through her because I'm not just a co-parenting coach. I'm a leadership coach. I'm a resilience trainer. Like we're working on her marriage and we're working on her relationship with her kids. And we're working on her goals and finding herself again. So it's like it can be life changing.
It is. It is. And again, you guys can get there so much faster if you just reach out to people you connect with. You and I were talking before we started about, we're not in it for the sale. We're in it for getting the message out to people that it's okay to be vulnerable enough to say, I need help. Whether
Yeah.
you go to Anthony, whether you go to me, whether you go to the next person that you find that works in this wheelhouse, as long as you're just asking for help, you're going to make your life better. Rarely do you hire somebody, you go, oh, I won't get that money back,
Yeah.
and again, if you've come to our pages multiple times, you've seen us on TikTok, you've heard wherever you're finding us, if you've stopped and watched, then you connect. You already know
Yeah.
you connect to one of us, if not both.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go the next step and say, okay, they got free shit, go get the free shit. Do they have paid stuff? Go get make your life better for your kids' sake. If not for yours, if you're not ready to admit you need to make yourself better for you, at least make yourself better for your kids so
Right.
that their journey is better.
So let's talk about that a little bit when, making yourself better. Like what are some of the big things or areas where you see people are getting in their own way that they may not recognize without somebody, on the outside kind of pointing it out to them?
I think trying to not fail.
Hmm.
I think we learn best when we do fail and we never do it again, or we learn how to make it easier the next time we do fail. I think a lot of the people I work with are so afraid of failing. And part of it's the court system, really
Yeah.
if you do fail and you don't follow through. But I think fear of failure, fear of losing.
Talk about that a little bit more. Like fear of failure. Expand on that.
So like fearing of like failing and losing their kids in the court system, fear
Okay.
of failing and their kids finding out who they are, fear of failing that the community might figure out, ooh, I cheated on my husband, or ooh, we lost all of our money in gambling, or sex addiction.
Yeah.
That fear of just not owning your shit, to where then you cover it up and
Yeah.
you cover up the truth so much with all this lies and bullshit that if anybody finds out, it's going to be a failure.
Yeah.
Where, I just rip the Band-Aid off and say, oh, fucked up last night. Oh, did this last night. Oh, and I think I sleep well at night. And I think people fear how parents are going to look at them. I mean, that was one of the things that held me up for so long, is I feared my parents got married as teenagers and they survived. And I'm 4 years in and already like, red flag, I'm ready to call it quits. I need out of here, And that's that failure and shame that comes with the failure, that, okay, I've divorced and I've caused my kids all this shame. You're the one dealing with the shame, by the way. And you need to figure that out with your therapist. But when it comes to that failure of my divorce, my marriage didn't last, I'm going to be a single parent. Who's going to look at me? There's just so much like negative talk around this divorce and co-parenting.
Yeah.
It gets people down to where they can't see that, yeah, but your marriage sucked. That's why you wanted out, or your relationship with your co-parent sucks, so you don't want to be in the same house. Like, think about how good your life could be if you just get this divorce over with. One of the most popular questions in my support group, I'll ask at least once or twice a month, or once every other month, is, what's the biggest regret you have about your divorce? And 98% of the time, the answer is always, I waited too long to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that sense of, I fear failure. I fear giving up on my marriage.
Right.
I fear my kids and only seeing my kids half the time. I fear losing money. And it's this fear of failing what you were supposed to be doing. You were supposed to be married for 25 years.
All right. And I would encourage people to really, in those situations, to redefine what success and failure is for you. Yeah. It's like, because failure, you're seeing failure as, right, I failed in not having a long, successful marriage, but failure is staying in that marriage that you're unhappy in, and you're being abused in, and you're being like mistreated. All right. And so that you have to redefine it and, redirect your mind and what actually failure actually is,
Yeah.
So, but I get why people can fall into that trap, right?
Yeah.
So
But it's that not being able to recognize that you too will get past this.
mhm.
Like, you might have failed at this, but like for me, I failed miserably at my divorce. It dragged on. It cost me money. I lost a connection with my kids for a while. But what have I made it? I've made it into a very successful business where I get to wake up every day knowing I'm helping thousands of people at a time. My 18-year-old kid sent me the most amazing message last night of how he's like, every time I pull up TikTok, your ass is on here. And like, I'm seeing you work your ass off. Like, look what you've built, and you're helping so many people. Like, you're sharing. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, how do you just talk about your story so easy? It's like, I gotta own it. It's who
Yeah,
I was. It was me, like,
yeah,
you just have to speak it. And it's so freeing to just be, everybody knows my shit and I don't care. I really
yeah,
don't care. And it's just not, care less about others, care more about looking at yourself in the mirror and being completely content with yourself and knowing that your kids are seeing you look at yourself
yeah,
and being content with yourself. My
yeah,
kids know I love myself.
yeah.
My kids know that, and they're starting to be that way. Like, they're like feeling themselves because they're
Yeah.
watching me be
And like, if you think about it, like, this is what we do. This is like what we care about as parents. We care about setting good examples for our kids, right? And a lot of times, if your kids are of age and they understand what's going on, they see you unhappy, they see you fighting, they see you arguing. A lot of kids,
yeah.
they might be even happy with the fact that you stood up for yourself and you left, in certain situations. So, and it's like we set the example on the stage for our kids. Like when this whole season is about the book I just wrote about co-parenting, right? It's not about you, right? My 10 principles. It's a very short, easy read. It's my 10 principles for what I think is a, strong co-parenting foundation, right? And when I wrote that, like my kids read a lot. Like I always read to them growing up, but I don't think they ever thought about who writes these books, right? Like they read them, but they never thought about writing them until like then when I wrote this book, like my kids were like so proud of me. And like it's like now I think they feel like they can be authors. Like I took a photo of my son. My son never, he don't give a shit about school, right? He passes, but like if he gonna do the bare minimum, like my
Yep.
dog. But like when he found out I wrote a book, like and I'm an author, and he's like, he's like, I'm in West Virginia. He's like, we learned about West Virginia authors today. And he's like, "You a West Virginia author?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, and like he asked to borrow my computer, and he was like, wrote a story. Like he's like, "I want to write a story." And like first time I ever seen him like ask to use my computer to write a story. He's like, and he don't know shit about publishing or nothing like that. He's like, I was like, "What you doing? Like you writing a story?" Maybe I could. He's like, maybe I could get somebody in my class to publish it. like whatever. Like I got but like he had never thought about that ever being a possibility until he saw me, the example that I set, right? And so it's the same when you're going through rough situations, when you're going through divorce, when you're going through your life. Like what example are you setting for your kids, right? Like
Right.
that it's okay to be in a shitty marriage, a shitty relationship. That think about the example you want to set for your kids. I think that's big.
Right. Or that it's okay to lash out at your co-parent, for a kid to sit there and watch. And I know this probably makes your stomach churn and I can't even watch them anymore. When I see TikToks of people that publish an exchange that gets heated and you got one parent with that baby on the hip and they're having words and they're
Yeah.
screaming and they're hollering and both of them have their cell phones out and in each other's. I am sitting there cringing and hoping to God that in 2, 3, 5 years, those parents go, boom, boom. We were the dumbest motherfuckers on the earth doing that to our child. As
What
the
were we
child is
doing?
sitting there, I cringe at that shit of like, these are people that aren't self-aware. They're not self-aware that they're part of the problem. Both of those people in that situation are part of the problem. And you would never be able to talk me out of that. They're both the fucking problem.
Right.
That's who they are. But I would want to know, I always want to know, this is where my mind goes, what's in their toolbox?
Yeah, I was just thinking it. I'm like, they don't have the tools.
They don't have the tools to
They don't
walk
have
away.
the
They don't have
tools.
the tools to communicate. They don't have the tools to rationally, I mean, they're already meeting in a public place for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's a long distance reason, but it might not be. It might just be because
Right.
they don't trust each other's homes. Like, how did we get here? How did it get this rough already? And a lot of it is emotional. A lot of it's not understanding each other. A lot of it's not understanding yourself, not having the right tools.
Yeah.
But you got to be self-aware to even self-reflect.
Yeah.
And no, a lot of people are just your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's not mine. It's your fault. 100% you. I
Well,
disagree. You know,
let's explore that a little.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go back here. What did you send in your first text message that might have been triggering to that person? Like, I know you only showed me this part, his response, but could you scroll up a little bit? Because that's what a judge is going to ask you to do. Give me the full picture of what the conversation was, not just the FU lash out part,
Yeah.
But I think it's the world. I think it's that instant gratification world we live in where nobody puts their phone down and really just good dialogue anymore. It's lash out, lash out, lash out. And I feel better, but now I've sent somebody into a tailspin and I'm not going to deal with the tailspin. I might have pushed your button, but I ain't dealing with what happens afterwards. We're all just walking around pushing each other's buttons. I don't know if this happens to you on TikTok, in your comment section. It does to me, where people will just stop and leave the shittiest comment. And I'm like, okay, 8 years ago, I would have got upset. Now I'm just like, I feel bad for you that you're in this place that you trigger you, like, look like my ex-wife. Do I smell like her? Like, what about me? Hit pause in your life to leave me the shittiest comment ever. Like, I have empathy. And I always respond back either something funny, something sarcastic, or like, I'm here. Book a consult, man. I'll give you one for free. It's the connection. Like, let's go. Let's talk this out, And yeah, I welcome it. Like, a challenge, have a dialogue with me before you judge me.
Absolutely.
You're gonna come here for a 1-minute video. Cool.
And that's like, that comes from such a place of growth, right? Like, and like just knowing who you are, and like that's a testament to your growth for sure. Right?
8 years ago, I would have drug you outside by your hair and beat the shit out of you, but I would have you on Facebook and like sent porn to you every email site I found. But like, yeah, now I'm like way more calm. I mean, I can still get a little like, we might be fighting. I can do some jail time. I'm still at that level, but for the most part, I can breathe. I can hit a pause and go, okay, what would cause this person to react in such a violent way? People that do that in our videos that scold us. I've had people threaten me, and it's just like, what happened to you to make you so angry? Because it ain't me. I know my 30-second video didn't make you that angry. What happened to you? So angry?
That's what it's about.
In your co-parenting journey, when your co-parent comes for you and is lashing out on you, ask yourself, what's going on with her today? Like, did something happen? Is her mom sick? Or are the kids wearing on her? Did she lose her job? Is she money tight? Like, this isn't just me, I don't think. There's something else going on here that she's upset about. Like, just take that pause and think about it.
Yes, that's big. I think that's so big. That's actually like, so my book, there's 10 principles. That's actually like speaks to my 10th principle, which is empathy. And so you like take a moment when you take that pause to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, that there could be something else going on. And like, I think people like when you become a parent, it's like, it's weird. Like, being a parent is one of the most important jobs that you can have, where you don't need any credentials, right? And it's like, you're not screened for this, right? So it's like, when people become parents, it's like you just expect them to just get it, right? Like, you expect, like, you're a father now, you're a mother now, and you got to get your shit. You got to get shit together. It don't work that way, right? Like, you
fail.
What's that?
Can't fail.
Yeah, right. You can't fail, right? You got to get your shit together. But like, that's just not how it works. What's in your toolbox, right? And so you give yourself some time to gain the tools, give your partner some time to gain the tools without judging them so harshly, and like, take a step back and have a little empathy when you can.
And if you're not in a place of empathy, you need to take a longer pause, because maybe something's going on with you in your day, or your week, and maybe that expectation piece that I talked about at the very beginning of, you expect your co-parent to talk to you with kindness every day. but when they're going through something, you might be their punching bag that they lash out on. And you need to be able to take that pause to go, she did have that job interview this week. Maybe she didn't get it. Or man, maybe his girlfriend's mad at him right now and he's frustrated and he's coming for me. Like taking that mature growth response and say, wow, that expectation that's not what I thought he would, expect that he would react with. I need to take a longer pause and let him cool down. Like maybe my pause will help him pause to where we don't keep engaging in this negative way. But this has been fun. Like I feel like this needs to be more often. I'm just going to say that publicly. I feel like we need to do this. You need to come on mine and I need to come on yours and we need to hang out.
I love it, man.
A weekly live on TikTok.
I'm with it. Let's do it. Like I'm with it. I'm all about that. Like I love the vibe. I love the conversation we have. I love talking to you, and I love your energy. And like I said before, I love your authenticity. And just the last thing I'll say, I got two more quick questions for you. And the last thing I'll say about what you said is like when somebody's lashing out at you, like I think you should always think about the fact that like this might not be about me, right? So like. Let me pause because this may not be about me. So I want to ask you like a kind of a personal question and then like the cliche question of what do you want to leave people with? So the first question, like, I wanted to ask all of my guests, I'm doing this isn't something new I'm doing. I'm just asking the question. I'm creating the question for you specifically. And I want to know, and it changed as we were talking. So my question for you is like, what's the most difficult part about being a mom, right? For you, like you had a set of kids, you had one set of kids, and then some years passed, and you had another set of kids, right? And like, so talk to me about like what's the most difficult part about being a mom in that scenario, and also an entrepreneur.
Oh, okay. So let's tackle the fact that I have old kids and young kids. I had kids in my 20s and kids in my 40s. And the perspective I have now raising these second set of smaller kids is nothing fucking matters. The soccer time being on time doesn't matter. Cooking every single night don't matter. My fucking laundry that's piled up don't fucking matter. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is that my 18-year-old sent me the best text message I've ever gotten in my life last night because I showed him how to work my ass off and provide great things for them. Like my relationship with my kids was so hard for the first two because I was growing up, I was going through a bad marriage, divorce, and I was learning how to be a single parent. Like I wasn't learning how to parent, I was learning how to be a single parent. And so I think what's hard about being a mom is all my kids are different. I have 4. Every one of them is different. They're all different from each other. They ain't two fucking alike. And they all need something different from me. All of their love languages were different. And I thought when I was young that I had to provide the same thing. Like I'm providing shelter, food, hugs, kisses, and I'm good. I get them again. Like, no, one kid needs more time. One kid needs a longer hug. One kid needs more words. And like, I didn't know to customize my parenting. And so in being an entrepreneur now, how that plays into it's not balance. I listened to a really good podcast today and I couldn't even tell you because I've listened to 3, which one it was, but they talked about balance. When you're a single parent and you're working, whether an entrepreneur or a 9 to 5, you are never going to have balance. And you got to be okay with that. Some weeks I'm killing it at fucking work and saving families left and right. And other weeks I ain't helping a soul, but I'm with my kid when he got his tonsils out and I watched every fucking stupid ass little mime movie that he was watching. Like it's never going to be equal and you got to be okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that I have a unicorn in my life that treats me amazing, treats my kids, and he's the number one parent. He's the primary parent in our household, and not many women can say that. I'm okay with being the breadwinner, and I'm okay with being the parent that comes in at the end of the night and does the hugs and kisses and the Disney parent and just does the see you later, and he does all the hard work. Like that's different from me than the first time I was doing the grind, right? So I think understanding that it's different seasons of balance. Some seasons you're into parenting 100% and maybe working out. Some it's 80-20, some it's 50-50 for a short little spin. But it's finding that balance of what does my life need right now? If you're broke, you got to work a little bit more and parent a little less. And especially as that single parent. But being a mom, man, I fucked up so many more times than what I care to admit with the first 2 because I was learning and I failed a lot and I did wrong. I'd call my own mother and I'd be like, "Mom, I yelled at them. Oh my God. And she's like, do you remember that time I yelled at you about this? I'm like, no. She goes, but I did. See, she goes, they won't remember everything. They'll remember some, but they won't remember it all. But she's like, you learn from all of it. And I think just being a mom is so fucking cool that I'm learning how to do it while they're learning how to do it. My daughter will sit here, my 16-year-old, and she'll hear me allow my little kids say things. And she's like, oh, we would have got our ass beat for that. You know, like we were never allowed to scream in the house. We were never allowed to talk to you that way. And I'm just like, my perspective has changed, you know? And like, so if you're sitting here listening to this as a first-time parent, I would say, again, I've said it many times throughout this podcast, the only thing that matters is playing with your kids, hugging your kids, filling your kids' love tank every single day, providing them structure, consistency, and discipline to where they feel validated in life, to where they need no one in their future but themselves, and they're content. So anyone that does walk into their life is a bonus. It's not a need, it's a bonus. And I just, your job is to create good human beings.
Yeah.
It's not to go make millions. It's to make good human beings. So focus on that. But there's no balance. It's no equal balance. There's just not.
No, that's facts. I love that. I love that so much. So the last thing, you know, we'll go with the cliche question of what do you want to, you know, if you want to leave people with one thing that are struggling right now, going through a divorce, going through a separation, scared about failing, scared about being this co-parenting thing. What do you want to leave them with? What's the message you want to say?
To say it in one thing would be very difficult.
Yeah.
I would say to encompass everything, it would be get help. It's something that there's now services. I got divorced in 2018 or 2008. I don't think there were services like there is now. There's not coaches, there's not great attorneys, there's not good therapists. There wasn't all the things there is now. There wasn't TikTok. I mean, fuck, you can sell those with TikTok. It's just crazy. Like, go get help to help you on your journey, no matter what phase you're at, the divorce journey, the co-parenting journey, the life journey, the parenting journey, where just go get somebody you relate to, you know, like, and trust, that you feel like, I get her, I get him. Dude, we living the same life? Like, when you can sit and watch somebody that you resonate with and they offer something, go take it, because trying to figure it out on your own. I mean, it's like me today. I'm trying to figure out how to connect a Facebook group to an email. I sit and watched 4 fucking YouTube videos, you know, because I was too embarrassed to go back to my tech lady and say, can you fix this for me? You know, like, you have to just be vulnerable and say, I don't know how to do this.
Wasting your time.
You need to go learn from somebody who does.
Yeah.
You know, like if I have a toothache, I'm not gonna be like, you know what I do? I'm gonna watch fucking YouTube videos and figure out how to fix my toothache. No, I'm gonna own up and be like, I gotta go to the dentist. Yeah. You know, like, if we have a medical ailment, we go to a professional. Why not, when we have a life ailment, are we not going to life coaches? Like, just go get the help you need with whatever hurdle you're going through.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, go get help.
The people who do this for a living are people who really actually like care about you and how your life turns out. Like, it's not the same when it comes to hiring a lawyer.
No, oh my God, I said that the other day. I was like, understand this. Your attorney works 9 to 5 o'clock. Punch out at 5. They go home, do dinner. They ain't talking about you. They ain't worried about you. A life coach like us, I'm still emailing you and texting you at 10 o'clock. Like, I'm worried. I'm getting at 2 o'clock pacing, going, well, at least there's nothing in my inbox yet. Like, it must have been okay.
You ride or die. We riding with you.
I'm like dumping into. I'm like your cheerleader from miles away, going, man, I hope she said what she was gonna say. You know, like, I hope she has the courage today. You know, like, this is our passion. I think attorneys sometimes, and not all, because I had one that it was her passion, but most of them, it's their job. This. We said this at the beginning before I think we were on, it's our passion. It's what we were put here to do.
Yeah.
You know, we were put
purpose.
Here to do this. Yeah. It's our purpose. Absolutely.
For sure.
And like it's not everybody's purpose to help people. Like, it's my fiance's purpose to be a parent. Like, he's one of those cool dads. He's probably like you, like, watching him parent. I'm like, damn, I was never that good as a mom. Like, he wants to play Legos. He wants to do video games. He wants to be outside. Like, I'm like, okay, 5 more minutes outside. We're going in, you know? And he's just like, he's a big kid. Like he was put on this earth. So like everybody has a passion and
Yeah,
our passion, and it should be all life coaches' passions, any type of professional coaching, it should be their passion, not their job.
yeah, sure. Absolutely. I love that. I love this conversation so much. I thank you so much for being here and taking time out of your day. I know you're busy. You got your business, your mom, you got so much shit going on.
I
And
love
you took the time to be here with me. And I'm truly grateful. And this has been amazing. And
Yes,
I would love to do this again and link up. And thank you so much,
absolutely.
Samantha Boss, divorce coach, mediator, for being here. It's been awesome. And this has been another episode. I'll see you all on the next one.